Welcome to the Authentic Leaders Rising podcast, where high achieving entrepreneurs and leaders come to receive deep, insightful conversations and practical guidance to move from hustle to flow without sacrificing their authentic self and the results. I am your host and Chief Energy Officer, Tammy Cho, a former patient care leader turned international best-selling author, speaker, and face and body analysis expert. Get ready to lead your authenticity, lead your energy, and lead your impact. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode. I'm Tammy Cho, your host. And some of you may be aware, maybe not. Last week was the first week I didn't actually put out an episode for Authentic Leaders Rising. And it was the first time for myself for 40 weeks because I was at episode 40. And so I really needed to take that space for myself. I definitely had been creating space for the last month. As you may have noticed, I've been putting a lot of guest episodes. And I didn't have one recorded last week. And I didn't feel the call to just push through and just record something that didn't feel authentic or high quality. And so I decided to give myself space to just pull back. And so I'm receiving that this is important to speak into the space because you may be someone who has been going through the grind of life and doing what you normally do based on your conditioning. And I just want to speak that into the space that it's okay to shake things up and to allow yourself the grace, the self-care, the love to really give yourself that time to unwind, that time for a deepening space and presence for yourself. Because what can actually drop in through all of that with the intention you place on it, it could be exactly the clarity you need that will actually save you way more time than you think that taking space for yourself will put you back from, if that makes sense, right? So I really want to speak that into the space. And so starting this episode, I really wanted to share something that happened quite unexpectedly for me. This feels like a bit of a vulnerable share, as I speak a lot about being in your true, authentic self-leadership and all these things, right? I speak a lot about staying connected to what you want and your desires and all of these things. And I had a big realization within myself that I was disconnected from what I wanted. And I didn't know that. And how this played out for me in my business is that in the last 3 years or so, it's like I essentially created the same amount of income after all the expenses and such. And it really didn't matter what I invested in within myself. It didn't change that number. And so deep within myself, I knew that something is off, something is up. I invested in very high quality coaches, the best of their game that I felt intuitively guided to. And they taught me really good things. And yes, I did apply things. And there was parts of me that I didn't want to apply the things. It wasn't about the knowledge. It wasn't about the strategy or learning yet another thing. It goes deeper within myself. And this is really beautiful for me because it was divinely guided. It wasn't something that I consciously sat there one day and it just opened up in me. It was definitely folding of events that God has aligned to me so I can really witness and see this. And I'm really grateful for this experience because it's actually guided me deeper into myself. It's guided me deeper into what is it that I actually want? Because oftentimes we live in a world of duality, the black and white, and yes and no, up and down, like very much places in our life where sometimes we don't connect to it or it's not really dropping into our bodies in the same way until we see the contrast. And so this is the beauty of the world we live in. And so something happened in the sense that I was offering this prayer out to the universe, like, show me what is it that I need to know? Like, show me what is it that I need to really get and receive. And I put it out to the universe, not thinking much about it. I just knew something was off and there was something deeper. And something guided me one day. I searched my email and I saw email that was sent a while back that nurses that were unvaccinated and got let go were allowed to be rehired to go back. And I realized that, wow, well, at this time, if I don't go back, I essentially lose my nursing license for good. For those that don't know me, I was a nurse for 20-ish years prior to being the CEO of Paths to the Heart. And a part of me is like, I could let go of it. I thought I had let go of it, but there was like a piece within me, like a piece of intuition that said that to go back. And I was very confused about this intuition because I so care about my purpose and helping someone deepen into themselves and really step into their deeper authenticity. And I didn't see nursing as serving me in that. And one of the reasons I left, and obviously because I didn't align with the values of a big corporation. And I felt that there's more pieces of me to be expressed into the world. And I didn't want to be restricted. And if you've listened to me on this podcast, I've been on long-term disability where I burned out. I struggled with a lot of anxiety. I speak about this very openly. And so I had that. I had that on my file. If I go back, this is what is in my records. And also the fact that I chose not to vaccinate. So I just felt that I was branded for these things. And here I am getting this intuition that I'm meant to go back to at least keep my nursing license part-time, so to speak. I took the steps and I went back into looking for a position, all those kind of things that I'm surprised I'm actually doing, but I decided to really trust my intuition. Like it's come up again and again. And so the government has aligned that nurses that weren't vaccinated before be allowed to be rehired back. And so I took the opportunity and I set up an interview. I applied to get an interview and I was just amazed. The two hiring managers, I got hired into a regular position, and I was surprised how that unfolded for me. I've received the comment how they were just amazed at how I handled myself in the interview, that I could potentially be one of their managers, and that I I shouldn't be working in frontline. I should be working in a leadership position. And this really took me back. And I was really surprised how I was getting this feedback in this way. They saw the value that I would bring to the position, but also to the bigger corporation. And this really stimulated something in me. And it was entirely unexpected. And I showed up. Like I realized I showed up in my authentic energy leadership. I cared. I cared for chronic disease management. I cared about patients and how patients were falling through the loopholes in many ways, and how we could better the care so much more. And perhaps it's my background as a psychosomatic therapist and doing face and body analysis, understanding that chronic disease pain has a lot to doing with our deeper emotional relationship with ourselves. And I just really allowed myself to be myself and to share my wisdom and answering the questions in there. And yes, I wanted to make a good impression, but in that moment, I was just being. I was in my energy essence of loving and caring, and that this matters to me. And it's interesting that as I'm speaking about this, like I'm getting emotional because I literally was just being myself, and this was how I was received. And one of my high values is really truth, caring, connection, compassion, constant improvement of self. And I got the feedback that they really sense this truth in me and that I do really care. And I think that that's the biggest commandment in many ways, to have someone else outside of you really reflect back to you the values that you're upholding. And so this was a really beautiful confirmation. This was a really beautiful confirmation for myself of, wow, I am living to who I want to be. And so, yeah, my whole body lit up as a yes. I couldn't actually believe how much this had lit up within my body, within my embodiment, that this was a yes for me. And this realization just hit me that if I could go back into nursing and to be a leader and to really make a difference, having management value my gifts and that I can really make a deeper difference expressing who I am, hell yeah. And what further surprised me was that I was so lit up about returning back into nursing and making this bigger difference, being who I am, that I felt this relief to let go of, business. Now, I don't know if that's forever, for now, part-time aspect, but the realization was to just realizing that I was willing to let go, and it was like this pressure that was let off my shoulders to really realize that, do I actually even love business? And this is an interesting thing to say on a podcast where I speak about my business. But if I'm going to be really real with myself, as some people who are listening, who are navigating their paths, the ability to really get clear within ourselves, what is it that we actually want? And it wasn't necessarily until this all happened. I didn't know. I only learned by the contrast. I couldn't see it because there was so many beliefs that I had to do business to live my purpose. There's too much restrictions in corporations. I realized that I'm a different person now. I have changed. I've healed on all these different aspects. I mean, I'm not perfect by any sense, right? But I'm a different person. I hold a different identity now and I'm returning. And if you've been, listening to my work, we transform our experience based on the energy resonance that we are holding. What is the energy I am entering in? What is the energy you're choosing to enter in? And so, as this experience for me was divinely guided with all these things unfolding in ways, it really came down to trusting my intuition, taking the action, allowing myself to respond to what happened. Getting really real with myself is like realizing like there's a lot of aspects of business that doesn't bring me joy. And I know that everyone's on their own journey. Sometimes we hire someone for those pieces or we find a way to troubleshoot. But what I'm getting intuitively is that I got to trust what's showing up in the now and to allow myself to just respond to what's happening. And the degree that my body is responding to this, it's really showing me this is the way to go. And once again, it's not that it's black or white that I need to close down my business, but it's like taking that realization. A lot of the things I support my clients on, right, is really learning and understanding and really seeing who they are and learning to love this aspect of self. And a lot of times we're so intertwined with the identities that we do wear in the sense of being a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, a business person, employee, a mother, like whatever that role is. When we're wearing all these pieces, we really can't see who we are. And in the current experience that I'm going through, right, there's a piece within me that I had to surrender. I had to surrender the pieces of business. And it's interesting. I actually walked myself through this exercise before and I didn't see it. And maybe this is because I was walking myself through it. So my mind pieces and story pieces were coming in with what was possible. But the fact that this nursing direction gave me everything I actually wanted. All I actually want is to really express my wisdom and knowledge and to really make a difference and to really awaken people to the truth and to really deepen someone into a deeper intimacy and to really make an impact and difference being who I truly am and to express those gifts within myself. That's what really matters, to really live my purpose. And once I was given opportunity that had all of that, business just didn't seem as bright anymore. And I needed to go through this process to really see this truth within myself. And it's not that I can't make a difference in business and doing all these things. It's just that this is what my soul is actually craving, to give myself the space to return back to nursing and surrender, like needing to be consistent in business and what I do in my business, very much not recording my episode. And this gift is truly unraveling what actually matters to me. It's actually unraveling for me. What is it that I actually love? And what my intuition is telling me is really like this letting go process. It's not a yes or no for doing business or not. But there was a place in me inside me that was saying, just do what you love. Keep focusing on doing what you're inspired and in response to. And if you've been following me, right, one of the things I dip into and support my clients on is human design readings and to really look at how someone's energy is meant to respond to life. I'm a manifesting generator, and generally, if you're a generator, I mean, generators are 70% of the population. We're actually meant to respond to life. We're supposed to move through life. Something inspires us. We then respond to life. That's how our energy makeup is meant to work for us. And yet, we can understand this knowledge on a very mental basis, and we can go through life. Oh, I think that's what I want. That makes a lot of sense, living from the mind. But what I'm talking about is where you actually feel this light up in your body. And that's definitely what I've been experiencing. And so if you're listening to this, you might be in that 70% where you're a generator or you're a manifesting generator, where this is where you're how you're meant to live. And honestly, for me, that's what I'm intuitively guided to. This is how I'm meant to live my life, not the push and grind, not like being so consistent all the time, right? Because it's a deeper trust in my energy blueprint to create what is it that I want. And honestly, it's not rocket science in many ways, because if we are responding to what we love, staying connected to this place. Many of us, I feel, and even myself, I felt that I was doing that at some level. And there's a deepening. I talk about this deepening in the presence. And, when you are not listening or you're not aware, whatever that is, and you are making the prayer to the universe that please show me what I need to know, we need to be open minded to receive it. How God was like essentially showing me, Tammy, it's not working. You've been trying to figure this out. It's not meant to be figured out. It's meant to be surrendered to. And we're going to show you that. And it's just funny when I connect to God and my guides. It's just like sometimes we have a laugh. It's like, we've been trying to tell you this, Tammy. You're not listening. And honestly, like all funnies aside, there's also a place that when we don't listen to our intuition, because our intuition's always with us, telling us the right way to go. And yet we're not necessarily listening because we're in our heads and we're not in our bodies to actually really receive the true essence of our intuition. And when that happens, sometimes we do all the things except for the thing we know we should do, whatever that is, how that plays out. Over time, this wears against our self trust, wears down our worthiness. Yeah. And so I think that being that I teach all of these things to my clients, it makes sense that I'm being guided as well on this journey in this way. This is why I've been working on my messaging forever. And it wasn't landing because logically it made sense to work with this population, but intuitively, I felt the next step was actually working with someone earlier in the journey that is maybe still in the corporate mindset, and that my work could really benefit this population a lot more. This population is not a population that can that are used to investing in someone that is outside of what is covered by the company, so to speak. And so there was a lot of mind games, and I couldn't surrender because it didn't make sense. And and I'm sharing all of this with you to really help you connect the pieces of how you may be letting your mind, your conditioning, to determine your results, and to really invite you to a different way of being, a different way of seeing, a different way of connecting to what is it that you actually want. I listened to this book. You might have heard of it. It's called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And he did something called the surrender experiment, very much about what I'm speaking about, where he essentially talked about how he essentially let life lead him. He allowed himself to awaken and surrender and to trust, following what life was showing him, letting himself respond and to not follow the voice in the head. And what unraveled for him was deeper relationships, definitely abundance. And he did so just allowing himself to respond to life. And I believe that things that drop into our journey, I heard that this book, I actually listened to it many years ago. And God is always setting up things for us to leave the breadcrumbs, if you will, into places that we are not ready to open up to. What I experience is that there is a timing to things. And it doesn't make sense and fit into what society tells us. Yet there was this piece here, and I got that intuition too. And so, yeah, this is a deeper learning for me to really receive my intuition a lot deeper, because it is essentially a way that I'm keeping myself small, keeping myself unfulfilled, keeping myself feeling stuck and wondering why. And yeah, and so I really invite you to these deeper places within you of allowing God, asking Him if you feel like you're in some sort of cycle. You've been listening, having these inklings of intuition. If you journal or you've had a repetitive intuition, go back right now, write them all down, look at the patterns. What are you consistently ignoring or saying, oh, yeah, that doesn't make sense? Oh, yeah, yeah, no, that's not it. Oh, yeah, yeah. Whatever is it that you do to brush that off, go back right now and just write them all down, put them in your phone, look at the patterns, and allow yourself to acknowledge them again. Because these are the pieces of your soul that's been trying to communicate to you that you may not have listened to, and tap into that energy. I'm done with this, not listening to my intuition. I'm done with it. God, show me. Like, the more passion, the more intention, the more decision you bring into this asking, they will support you. That something bigger will, come into your life. You just need to set the intention. You need to ask, and you need to pay attention to what is being shown to you. Just taking a breath into all of that. So, how wonderful would life be if we just allowed ourselves to really be who we are, to really be in the highest essence of our values, living in alignment with our values and all the energies that come from that, knowing what is important to us, and to create alignment from that place in our body, mind, heart, soul, and to live life and to move forward responding to life. This is where I'm feeling guided. This is where I feel like I'm starting a bit of a movement, because I think that there's more for all of us, that it's meant to be more easy than all of us, well, many of us are doing, that we need to push and do all the grind of all these things. There's more to life than that. And I don't know how many times people backtrack a little bit from life and they realize, oh my goodness, what is actually meaningful to me? And to live in alignment for that and shifting the energy of life and allowing that to bring in something new. Because in processing all of these things out loud to you and in preparing for this podcast, I realized I actually didn't know what I wanted, right? It was always inside of me. I just had to look. I just had to create space and be. It was actually always within me. And it's because it didn't make sense for the environment I was in. It didn't make sense for the timing of the events I was in. I know for within my human design, the purpose I'm meant to walk, people are not caught up with where I'm guiding people yet, because my purpose actually doesn't evolve into being into 2027 and probably a little bit before that. But if I trust this, it came in through my intuition. It's like, I know what I want. It's just that my mind told me that I had to look a certain way. I just needed to wait for my playground to arrive. And so, if sometimes in life it's based on divine timing, it's based on your readiness in your internal development, in your energetic expansion, in your embodiment of your authentic energy leadership. That matching of that is what is going to pull it closer to you, in addition to this divine timing, as it's evidenced by my experience and many other experiences that I've listened to stories on, who are in this type of consciousness work, in this like deeper knowing and awakening of who we truly are type work. It's just a way to put things in perspective that will allow you to maybe open up into something different, to allow yourself to slow down, giving yourself the grace, the presence, because we can shift our consciousness like that by deepening our presence. It's simple. It doesn't cost anything. The only thing is investment into deepening your self-love to receive you, to deepening what presence looks like and what that feels like. And it's having that truth awaken in ourselves to even ask for support from the universe, and allowing all these pieces within ourselves to align. Life is meant to be a lot more fulfilling, joyful, and peaceful than we allow it to be. So when we surrender to who we truly are in our authentic energy leadership, life will flow to us. As 70% of the population generating aura, we're naturally, that's our essence. We're pulling life towards us. All we need to do is to respond. And so my intuition, I'm choosing to guide it, is that it is nursing now. And I'm seeing that business is definitely in my future, as timing is going to flow and allow. And it's really exciting. I'm seeing some sort of bridge between the two. So that's super exciting. And I'm just trusting that and just taking one step at a time. Allow yourself with your intuition. Don't let it be black or white. It can be expressed in so many different forms. And to take the intuition you get and to play with it and put it into different playgrounds, if you will, different settings. Like, how can I create with this intuition? And so for me, and truly for many of us, it's trusting, surrender, letting go, allowing ourselves to just respond, to trust God that He or she is aligning to everything that we say we want, whether we're conscious or unconscious of it. It's keeping connected to your heart, because there is a deeper part of you that knows what you want. And although I didn't know what I want up here because of all the conditioning and mind things, I actually always knew what I wanted. It's a matter of allowing ourselves to deepen and to listen, a deeper listening to the God that's within you. So thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this episode. I hope that this has spoke to your soul in a way that it needed to awaken to, maybe it's a timing. Maybe there's a deeper compassion for you in that timing, knowing that sometimes it is timing, and your readiness within to hold yourself in the space to find that truth within yourself. Because that shift doesn't have to be incremental all the time. It can happen just like that. It's presence based consciousness, shifting literally in the moment to see the truth of now. We're all on our own journeys, but I can tell you that this responding to life is where many of us actually need to go. Not all of us, because we're all different, but based on 70% of the population, with this innate essence of our makeup, we're meant to respond to joy. We're meant to respond to being lit up in our body. And so thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Let me know what you want to hear about moving forward. I'm really allowing myself to step into what inspires me, sharing more of my movement, my journey, just stepping into the newness in a way that I haven't allowed myself to step in before. And I choose to be authentic and real. And that's the only way that truth needs to be expressed within me to you, to your heart and soul. And this is my authentic leader rising within me. Thank you so much. Lots of love to you. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Authentic Leaders Rising podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And leave us a review so others can find the life-changing content that we're sharing here. We are starting our movement on our way to number 1, and we need your help to get there. If you'd like to connect with other high-achieving entrepreneurs and leaders who are also on their authentic, energetic leadership journey, join our free Facebook community, Energetically Aligned Leaders. Go to pathtotheheart.com/links to join the Facebook group, book your personalized face analysis experience, or to access our resources.